Next up on the show is part 4 of the K100 interview with Jeff Katz. You can catch all 4 parts on the Patreon site at patreon.com/Conan and Conan.me.
Bro, Vince has been surrounded by
men.
Bruce, I mean, just all wrestling people's entire life.
Laurinaitis. And
He goes in the boardroom and he's got like the executives. Maybe they're not like wrestling people. Their number. And then he gets Nick Khan, who's got his fingers in everything sports, mainstream, and brings this guy in and like has used the marketing streams that are already available in the professional wrestling industry, which target the target markets and something like, which have like an internet, and just like, oh, what can I do here? Oh my God, let's build this, let's make this, and it's just brilliant the way, like, when you get the right person in there with this genre, which targets the 18 to 49-year-old male audience, like right in the heart, it's like, you can do great things with it.
And then, but by the way, you're also then coming to that bringing blue chip advertising relationships,
right?
Blue chip relationships.
It's like to this target market. The funny thing is, like,
watch when the rights come up next.
Well, the thing, okay, I will, but here's the interesting thing. It's like you got Meltzer like trying to really push this demo, like the 18 to 49 demo is like the big because AEW, even though they get like 60% of the fans that Raw draws, they're doing well enough in the demo where it's equal, right? And you got to understand, like,
for the kids,
right? But it's like, bro, you watch Raw, they're targeting the children, women, they're targeting everything. But it's like funny, like you look at like okay, what are the rights fees going to be? And it's like, you look at the WWE marketing machine, it's like, what do you want to marry your product to?
I mean, if WCW sold today,
the Rock is the number one actor in Hollywood now. He went to think, bro. Donald Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer, became president of the United States.
Arguably got elected using a bunch of wrestling.
Using wrestling. His cutting promos. Wrestling promos is what it's.
I think Rock would tell you he used the same thing in terms of how
same thing to get into the UFC, win the world title. I imagine, and it's like. You look at this thing; it's like in the 18 to 49-year-old target market, the WWE like checks all the boxes. They just got to figure out get more guys like Nick Khan in there to monetize or like basic creative. Because like
Katie
the one
Horowitz
thing
he hired who ran FS1.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that we always criticize is that WWE is making monster numbers.
There's that Conan exhale that I love.
Record numbers. Everything is, but every week we scratch our heads at the creative, and the creative could be so much better.
I hate to say this to you, creative. I'm with you, and I understand it, and it's why I stopped watching. Okay, the creative is irrelevant.
I then do you see the way
that's what they're being taught?
Right, you get that vibe. It's like they don't care.
I don't advocate it, but yeah.
I was on an airplane with Russo.
Again, it's Coachella. It's not about who's headlining. It's about the three days.
I didn't really know Vince that well, right? And we sat next to each other on an airplane in WCW back in like 1999, right? And it's the first time I'd ever gotten it because I was a fan because me and Conan, like all the boys in the back, when WCW was going on, if there was a locker room and a TV,
I remember this 100%.
We would watch Raw.
Right. That was when it turned. Was when when the TV inside went from Nitro to you guys started watching Raw.
Yes,
that's when we were in trouble.
That's when it turned. It's when we started watching. And we're watching Raw and everything. So we're watching watching the product and everything. And so you're just thinking like what are they doing? What are they doing different? What are they and like
the biggest thing they could do, as far as I can. Again, I'm looking at this from the outside. I have a 13-year-old nephew. He has never in his 13 years given a shit about wrestling. That makes me sad because at some point as a kid, whether it's Hogan, Cena, Rock, whatever,
and between 10 and 13, you kind of want to.
It's a piece. It's an American pop
you want to grab that kid and kind of introduce him to wrestling.
And he loves Marvel. He loves all the stuff that he loves that should gateway drug him to it. And we bought him the video game and tried to get it. My brother and I tried to get and I think that the biggest thing anybody could do, you got to try to get kids. Because what I worry about, it's like comic books. When you look at comic books, the only people that buy them, the good news is your hardcore audience, they're not going anywhere but one place. The bad news is the one place they're going is a pine box. And eventually you've got to have people to replace them. And that is the thing. Now, that's where having Bad Bunny and the Pauls and that stuff has value.
Because me and Conan gradually, after watching these shows over a period of time,
I don't know how you do it.
Well, the thing is, we sit there and say to ourselves, like, okay, this is not for us. They're not. I'm 50-something years old. This segment was not written for me because I still watched it anyway. So, like, they did not care because they had my eyeballs. They're trying to draw new fans, and it's like, because I've talked to another, like, my friend that writes and used to write WWE. Well, the metrics are off the charts they have. And I always sit there and say to myself, like, God, this has to be.
You mean like the market research? I'm sure their market
research, like the metrics, they got to have tons of. And I'm thinking, like, okay, that's my immediate reaction. Is like, okay, this is written not for me. I know what I like. I'm 54 years old. So this is the metrics are telling me like this will draw, but I'm not going to like it. But what happens is unfortunately with the climate of professional wrestling, with the rise of social media, is everybody and their mother now has a chance to go on social media and critique the product. Mm-hmm. And that's what you get when you're writing stuff for people that are 12 and 11 and 10 years old, but the people commenting on it are 50-something years old and they all got Twitter accounts.
I would also say to you...
So it's like it's a weird way to... how do you navigate this?
You guys, I heard you talking to Madden the other day. And I was sorry to hear that Madden and Flair fell out because that was always, I like Mark a lot, and that was a relationship that was important to him. Mm-hmm. And Mark had said something about like he was and this rung true to me. He was turned off. I think he said it was tribalism. I think was how he had put it.
Absolutely, it's tribalism.
From the outside, and I've noticed this, like as we've become more secular as a culture, politics, everything, sport, these things have replaced. They become religion. So I like Marvel. I hate DC. I'm a Yankees fan. I'm a Red Sox. Everything's Michigan, Ohio State. Right. Mm-hmm. And in wrestling, I think it's really, at least from what I see on Reddit is primarily what I look at. Okay. And they've been very cool to me. So I like those guys. But like it politically speaking, like this wrestler has politics I don't agree with. So I can't like, let me tell you, someone who's worked in Hollywood, like if you want to start holding people to entertain you to that standard, you're going to be run out of people really quick. Like it strikes me as very almost, it's almost a gatekeeper effect. It keeps people turned off from like, I want to watch and be entertained. I want to get in a political debate over two companies that do fake fighting. Like, really? Yeah. And I think it's turned off for people.
It is, bro. I say the toxic atmosphere that it creates is very difficult to draw new fans because when they engage in the product, they learn about the Twitter handles and stuff, and they start going on social media and seeing the way these fans are reacting. It's like, I have no interest in this.
I've booked two wrestling series. One was wrestling if it was on HBO. The other was wrestling if it was on CW. All in the same universe. I have no intention of ever going back. The only thing I would ever do if I did, because it's the thing, would be wrestling for kids because it's the only thing. Like, and I mean, like. Disconnect, like you need to get kids.
It's the only thing you can deliver content to them, and they're not going to provide. They're not going to have a toxic response.
Am I not mistaken that the Wednesday show, the average viewer was in their 50s? Did I not read that?
Bro, the media. Let me tell you something. This is
not sustainable.
Let me tell you this. This is fascinating. Year 2000, the median age of the professional wrestling fan, 28 years old. In the year 2022, what's the median age of the professional wrestling fan? 52,
and they're watching out of habit. Half of them, like
the fans are literally dying.
Yeah,
Jeff, I went to the hospital not too long ago, right?
Yes,
and the guy that was by me, if I had to guess, he was probably like 65, and I was there a whole week, bro. And the first night I was there, he was watching Raw, and I thought to myself, well, maybe it was on TV, and he had nothing better to do or whatever, right? Friday came on and he turned SmackDown on. And I was like, wow. So because I kept thinking there's not really a lot of old people on the show. So why are older people watching it? Because most of the people are younger now. If you look at and they made a concerted effort to have a younger roster.
Yeah, I read that the other day. I saw that.
Yeah. And so I was wondering, like, so my last question here is, okay, because you were talking about comic book fans that they're no longer young anymore. Right. Why is that? What happened?
Young people are reading manga, which is the Japanese stuff.
Right.
Honestly, what's happening so I'll use my nephew again as an example because he loves Marvel. He goes to see all the movies. He's never bought a comic book in his life. Now, when I was a kid growing up in Detroit, I'd take the bottles back. I'd get 10 cents a bottle, and comics were 75 cents. And I could buy whatever I wanted. Yeah. Today,
and I collected all of that, bro, from the Archies to the Marvel.
It was a great time to do it.
Let me tell you, Jeff, great story.
Yeah.
I ordered the sea monkey thing that they used to have in there.
Of course, yes.
And when they came to my house, because, in the picture, they looked like a family, right? So when I came to my house and I put it in the water, it looked like breadcrumbs.
Yeah, right.
And ever since then, they've had sea monkey heat with me.
Sea monkey heat. That's right.
Growing up, I collected comic books. I collected comic books. The Dark Knight, Frank Miller. It was the greatest comic book I ever read at the time. I thought it was like, wow, this is like incredible. I played Dungeons and Dragons, so as a fantasy fan.
Oh, you're even beyond me. That's a level. Even I'm like, really?
That's really nerdy.
Yeah.
Played basketball, football, and street hockey.
Yes,
I was sports, fantasy.
No, I was the same.
Fandom,
they all kind of intersect.
And it's like now, at this age. It's like it's difficult getting my dollar. I always say, it's like wrestling fans today, like when we analyze the shows, we watch them because we have to. Definitely wouldn't if we didn't have to. But we analyze them like, bro, if you're not getting I like shows when they get good ratings. It's like if they're not getting good ratings, I'm probably not liking it.
You want to feel like you're part of a hot.
I have a good gauge on what people like because I've liked stuff when the ratings go up.
That's good.
Because I've always born like fantasy fan, sports fan growing up, and kind of got into this and got lucky.
Back then, you got to remember, you grew up in a period we all did where there were 3 or 4 networks and then cable, right?
Right.
Pre-internet, we all old enough to remember time before the internet. And as I was saying with my nephew, if he likes Iron Man as an example, well, he doesn't have to go to the comic store to go get Iron Man. He can go on to Disney Plus. He can watch the movies, watch 18 different cartoons. Yes, if you're a wrestling fan, you go on Peacock for $4 $5 a month or whatever, and they have basically everything. You don't have to watch the news.
What if it's so simple? What if it's so simple that if you look at people, like when you go to a restaurant anywhere, and you look at you look around and literally probably 40 to 50% of just a general view of a view of people in a general area. Well, we look at their phones and they look at their phones, so that you don't know what they're doing. But what if that process of I'm paying attention to my phone just overall has taken away the process of okay, I'm not going to look at my phone anymore. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to turn on the TV and watch the show.
I think double screen stuff in general. I mean, I have a laptop open every time I watch TV. I get
so
it.
Jeff, so Jeff, do you think that what's happening is much like vinyl and CDs and Laserdisc, that newspaper and comic books are becoming outdated forms of media that have been replaced by something more modern?
Newspapers, certainly. I wouldn't want to. I mean, that's not something I'd want to invest in, obviously.
Bro, absolutely.
Because comics, the underlying IP still has value. Sorry,
bro. We're at the genesis, though, of this new NFT craze, which is another weird thing where people are.
I'm a metaverse guy.
Are you a metaverse guy?
No, not at all. I'm too old.
I'm a human being.
Right. It's I don't want to You call me crazy. I like to make love to a real woman instead of an avatar.
Let's look at
Not
this,
Joe.
right? But let's be honest.
Well,
we got the metaverse. Okay, Elon Musk has Neurolink.
Yeah,
which is singularity. It's honestly, we're getting away from humanization.
That's the entire thing that they want. Isn't that the entire fourth industrial revolution?
It just seems like it is. Bro, it's difficult to ignore these trends and where they're going.
Glenn, I will send you. I'll send it. I'll get Conan has it, but I'll send it to you. I cut a video for MVP. MVP did my thing years ago, and he's basically, if you know who Smedley Butler is, he is came back from war. Hates the military-industrial complex. It's a fun character. MVP is really good in it, but I cut his music video, and there are I won't spoil for you, but I put some fourth industrial revolution references. I'm not a fan of it. Transhuman. I will say this: when I was at Fox, Ray Kurzweil, and he'd come in
Bro,
Like,
the
he
Ray
was-
Kurzweil.
Yeah,
bro,
like he'd come in and speak.
You've
It was
read
crazy.
You've heard him speak?
Yeah, it's crazy. He'd come in.
Oh
like,
my god!
At Fox, it was nuts because like Bruce Willis would bust in and Cruz would come in. It was crazy.
Conan, Ray Kurzweil is one of the
futurist. He's Google's in-house futurist.
Well, one of the guys is the original that created Google.
And the singularity is his.
And he has been making predictions for the future for like forever. And like, what would you say, 90% accuracy? They've been so far. Like he's been off a little bit.
Yeah.
But bro, we're not far away in the prediction process of everybody communicating mentally.
I mean, listen,
that's a given.
We're like
within half the point.
Within 10 years away from that, based on, and you're looking at it like going like, I don't know if this is good or not.
I just imagine wrestling fans pissing and moaning with a Neurolink installed.
No, it's just like you get like this feeling that human beings, the way they see them act on Twitter, and they're getting so vitriol towards each other and antagonistic and combative and stuff. That I'm just wondering if like we're just trying to like the thing is get away from all that and have everybody communicate just mentally all on the same
The only problem with that is that they're going to find a way to control us with that.
Well, that's
the
point.
problem.
That's the thing.
And we're going to all be, no matter what, it's inevitable that we're going to be half machine, half human, like a cyborg, bro.
Right.
And we're going to have chips in our brains.
Yep.
Bro, and you're good. Yeah.
What if we never die? What if
that might happen too?
That's what they're trying. That's the singularity. I mean, that's Kurzweil's whole thing.
Yeah.
They're right. Bro, these things are people that have been following this stuff for the past like 10, 15. You've seen this. Like I keep my ears open. 20 to 10 to 15 the conspiracy theories, because a lot of conspiracy theories, they're just theories, but
last 2 years, a lot of this has come true. My eyes have been open a little bit.
So I am not ignoring any conspiracy theory. I'm keeping my ears open, but like this whole thing of like, bro, 10 years from now, I'd like to wonder like this conversation, if we want to relive it, like okay, let's say on this date, on April 6th, 2032, we want to reconvene, come up on what are we on StreamYard right now and everything, and I wonder like what the process would be like. Honestly, we maybe think, hey, let's all just like mentally communicate with each other.
Yeah. Did you ever see Strange Days? That movie, which is a really underrated movie. Ray Fiennes.
Yes.
Like, Tom Sizemore.
Bro, you just wonder if like all these things like the Terminator 2, Strange Days, what is predictive? Like, what if it was all predictive programming?
If you look at, listen, dude, Network, The Running Man, PCU, Demolition Man.
There's so much stuff like that. But you wonder if what was it? Was it egg chicken or chicken egg?
I don't know how any disco.
I don't know. I don't know if this like created the impetus for people to start thinking this way.
But we'll both get this because I've emailed with them both, and I don't know if you've read that. No one who reads the book The Secret Team or anything like it can possibly look at this and say, "Oh, this is totally altruistic and will be used for good." It's just impossible.
Right.
And so, I having gone through that and read Mr. Prouty. And just over the last couple of years, my eyes have really been open over the last couple of years.
Well, the thing, bro, here's the bad thing about it, Jeff. It only takes one evil mastermind to up millions of lives. Just one.
That's why my it's open. I'm an open thing on Elon Musk right now. Because Elon Musk is preaching, okay, I'm going to take over.
I am too. He's big on singularity. I'm with you on that.
He's his free speech. I'm going to go into it. But wait a second. It's like you want the guy that wants to put Neurolink and chips in our brain now part of social media? It's like how much of our brain does this, how much sensory does he want from us to connect us to I don't know. It's just
I have a really easy bar. If you speak at Davos and you don't disavow these people, I don't trust you.
Right. It's true. There's a
simple.
These people call themselves the elites. That's like that.
Davos is telling you exactly what they're doing.
These are like comic book heels. You think of is this all part of
You're talking about the reset?
The entire Davos crowd, the entire thing. Yeah, they have their hands in everything. Fourth Industrial Revolution, transhumanism, the reset. They're telling you exactly what they're doing.
Monetary Bitcoin. You just wonder they got the
central bank digital currency, which is the most onerous thing in history. We could do a whole other show just on this.
Yeah,
it's very, very scary.
We're going to have you back where you're being considered a friend of the show, just like Lord Cyrus and some other guys.
My pleasure.
Nick,
I think you may have broken a record on the longest appearance on the show, possibly.
Yes,
and no kazoo.
Here, let me give you one of those, just so you don't feel out of place.
Thank you. That is the production value that I demand, and expect that I'm happy to have.